I want to have a short conversation about Braintree payments, and this is a review of this payment processor. I want to understand the features, the pros and cons, the pricing, everything. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. So what is Braintree? So Braintree is basically a payment processor that allows online businesses to accept payments via app or websites. And the company also provides merchant accounts and payment gateways. So that's kind of cool in terms of operational flexibility. And PayPal owns Braintree, by the way, and a PayPal business account is required. And fees are basically at 2.59% plus 49 cents per transaction for credit, debit, and digital wallets. And so Braintree is basically, the cool thing about Braintree is that it's actually available for all kinds of businesses, whether you're a small business, mid-sized business, or a larger enterprise, not a problem. And Braintree is available for merchants in the United States, Canada, Australia, Europe, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, and New Zealand. So they're constantly trying to expand their operational and geographical footprint. That's pretty good. So the thing is that before you sign up for Braintree, just make sure that the country you're in or the country you're going to sell in actually is covered by Braintree. One thing I also want to say here is that when we talk about Braintree, it really also helps to have an online sort of operation or online outlet. It doesn't matter if you currently have a brick and mortar store, that's fine. But at some point, it will be really helpful to you if you were to actually partner with Braintree for your payment processing to actually have an online presence. So you can have a short website. A small website. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Even a one-page website will really help. Okay, so this is kind of cool. And Braintree doesn't charge monthly fees and PCI compliance fees or minimum transaction fees. So that's really good. And so Braintree's focus on online payments makes it a great fit in our view for e-commerce businesses, which will appreciate the company's transparent pricing and range of payment options. Okay. And traditional brick and mortar retail operations will likely want to explore a different payment processing company in case they don't have let's say an online presence. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Let's talk about the features here. So when we talk about Braintree, what are we talking about here? So Braintree Direct is Braintree's payments processing product. It allows businesses to accept payments online and on mobile. And so Braintree actually, as I said before, focuses on e-commerce, but the service does support in-person payments for merchants. They have PayPal, Zettle, card readers. So again, the PayPal owns Braintree, so you need to have some kind of sync in here. So what are the deciding factors here? So when we think about Braintree, businesses can accept the following payment methods with Braintree. So credit and debit cards. So I'm talking here about Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, JCB, Union Pay, and Diners Club. And for debit cards, you have Visa, MasterCard, and Maestro in some markets. And you have prepaid debit or gift cards. So Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, Diners Club, or Union Pay. And for digital wallets, you have Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. And there are also possibilities for other payments. So I'm speaking here about ACH, Venmo, available only in the United States, and PayPal. So, and in terms of PCI compliance, as I said before, the PCI compliance is there and there is no extra charge. Okay. And do we have a cryptocurrency processing? No. Braintree, as of right now, doesn't actually process cryptocurrency transactions. And the platform really supports multi-currency, not a problem. And there is no invoicing capability. So if you are looking for some kind of payment processing that's coupled with invoicing, you're going to have to look for another payment provider. And there is a recurring billing and subscriptions, not a problem here. So Braintree sort of covers that. Also, they do transaction reports. So that's kind of cool. The depth and breadth of analytics in Braintree is really mind-boggling. So we love it a lot. And I'm sure you are going to appreciate it as well if you are into that kind of calculus or that kind of, I would say, analysis. And so now there are some notable integrations that we have found in our research. You have a Shift4Shop, you have BigCommerce, you have WooCommerce, you have Adobe Commerce, formerly Magento, you have NetSuite, Oracle, Salesforce, and both. So this is kind of cool. In terms of support, you have email that's available 5 a.m. through midnight. This is Central, and Monday through Thursday and 8 a.m. through 8 p.m. Central on Friday. You can actually reach someone on the phone from 8 to 7 Central, Monday through Thursday, and 8 to 5 Central on Friday. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Braintree payments. This is a review of this payment processor. I want to talk to you about pricing here. So when you talk about Braintree, what we love about Braintree is the transparency in the pricing. Okay. And there's nothing complicated. They're not trying to really play games with you. And that's really cool. So Braintree charges a flat rate depending on the payment type, and businesses that process more than $80,000 in sales per month may qualify for discounted rates. And the threshold lies between 80,000 and 100,000. Okay. So you have 2.59% plus 49 cents per transaction, credit cards, debit cards, and digital wallets. And then you have 3.49% plus 49 cents for Venmo, US only, transactions in non-US currency or transactions outside the US. You have 0.75% for ACH. So there is a maximum fee of $5. Discounts are available for enterprise businesses. Then you have a $0 monthly fee for payment processing, but $49 per month plus 10 cents per transaction for a Braintree gateway, and $10 per month for third-party merchant accounts, along with any fees charged by their merchant account provider. So it's one of those things where you have to really see all the fees that you are going to incur in a single transaction to see if those fees are really worth it for you from an ROI perspective. And merchants with their own American Express accounts pay 15 cents plus Amex's network fee. And you have custom flat rates and interchange plus pricing that are available for businesses that process more than $80,000 to $100,000 per month. And chargebacks are $15 each. Okay, so be very careful when you actually when you contract with Braintree. Just be very careful with chargebacks because they can really eat into your revenue. And PayPal transaction rates are based on the terms of your PayPal account. So you got to have a PayPal account. And as I said before earlier, it really helps to also have an online presence if you are going to enjoy your Braintree contract. Let's talk about the pros and cons here. So when we analyze Braintree payment processing, what are the pros and cons you need to be really aware of? So first of all, let's start with the pros. So you have transparent, competitive pricing. So Braintree's rates are refreshingly straightforward when compared with other merchant service providers like National Processing or HealthSim, for instance. And so when we talk about Braintree, the company charges a flat rate for most businesses and publishes those prices on its website. And Braintree's rates are competitive considering the company doesn't lump additional monthly fees on top of its per transaction rates. And however, brick and mortar shops simply looking for a gateway will likely find better deals. Okay. Now, you also have no contract, minimal fees. So Braintree customers sign up on a month-to-month basis. So there is no lengthy contract or pricey early termination fees. You know, the ETFs that are really so bad in the industry. There are a few fees to speak of beyond the flat rate per transaction fee for payments processed. And Braintree doesn't charge additional monthly fees, PCI compliance fees, or minimum transaction fees. And the only fees customers can expect are a chargeback fee of $15 per incident and a 1% fee for converting transactions paid in foreign currency to US dollars. And one thing I want to say here is that it's really important to really understand that if you are going to go with Braintree, the flexibility is there. Okay. The transparency is there. Now, the question is Braintree's offer really good for you? Again, you want to be a small or mid-sized business, not a problem at all. But you also want to make sure that you have an online presence. I'm insisting on that because the way Braintree is actually set up, if you don't have an online presence, it will be a little difficult. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do everything online. You have to be an e-commerce store or e-commerce business. But if you are a brick and mortar, you got to have a one-page. You can have a one-page website or a landing page or anything. You got to have an online presence to be able to actually benefit from Braintree's offer. Now, one thing we have seen, our team has seen in our research is that a lot of companies are basically going to Braintree. I mean, they first start with PayPal and then PayPal Zettle, and then transition from there to Braintree. So maybe that transition could also be beneficial to you if you are considering it. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Braintree payments. This is a Braintree payments review. Let's talk about the Braintree's cons here. So, we're looking at the pros and cons. And so the cons, I mean, there's no service is perfect. So when you think about the Braintree, the first drawback that we don't like here is customer service. So they have a rating of just 1.2 to 1.5 stars on Trustpilot, and primarily due to poor reviews related to customer service. And the complaints claim support service is unresponsive, with many waiting several weeks for issues to be resolved. So it's one of those things where if you ever have any problems with Braintree, you're going to have to be a lot patient, and you're going to have to actually go through a series of emails, and those emails can be frustrating. When we reached out to Braintree, they didn't last. They didn't really wait for too many weeks. They got back to us within three to 4 days. But this could also be improved. This is one of those things where PayPal customer service is a lot better. If you have PayPal Zettle, you have a better customer service than if you have a Braintree. So it's one of those things they really need to sort of work on. So customer service really sucks in our view here. And so they have to really work on that. And the other drawback that you need to be aware of is that I think I've already established that is that Braintree is not, the way it's set up right now, it's not suited for brick and mortar retail. So while Braintree offers the option to take in-person payments with a PayPal reader, the service is not set up to support traditional brick and mortar operations. As a result, retail stores, restaurants, and other businesses that primarily accept in-person payments should explore other options. So unless you have an online presence, one thing I want to say here is that it's one of those things where you got to always think about the ROI, right? If you were to go with Braintree as a brick and mortar, what's the ROI for you? What's the added value? Is it really worth it in terms of the additional investments? And one thing as I said before also, is that you can also explore having an account first with PayPal. You can have a PayPal business account, and then PayPal Zettle, and then PayPal reader to actually do the transition. But if this is too complicated for you, it's just a lot better just to explore another options. If you like HealthSim, for instance, or National Processing, or any other provider. Let's talk about the rivals here. So when we talk about Braintree payments, I mean, basically, this is not the only credit card processor. You have a lot of players in this field. And the first one I want to explore with you is actually a Square. So Square, let's look at Square. The pricing here, Square is a pretty interesting sort of candidate here. You have in terms of pricing, you have 2.6% plus 10 cents for in-person transactions. You have 2.9% plus 30 cents for online transactions. You have 3.5% plus 15 cents for manually keyed transactions. You have 3.3% plus 30 cents for invoices. And so when you think about Square overall, Square and Braintree offer many of the same benefits. So you have, for instance, transparent pricing. That's for sure. You have no monthly fees or PCI compliance fees. This is really good. And no long-term contracts. Okay. However, and this is a big however that we have actually uncovered in our research, Square offers a payment processing solutions for brick and mortar retailers and restaurants. Braintree caters to e-commerce businesses. Okay. So Square does have the infrastructure to actually take care of anything that is a brick and mortar. This is really important to mention. And other benefits include easy setup, competitive transaction rates. I'm still speaking of Square here though. Okay. So easy setup. You have competitive transaction rates. You have no processing fees on customer refunds. This is an important element to mention. And there is a free point of sale software and mobile card reader. So as I said before, Square does have the infrastructure, does have the hardware and the software to sort of cater to brick and mortar operations. Not a problem. And so when you actually analyze a Square versus Braintree in this sense, Square is way better than Braintree. So Braintree actually offers a pretty decent sort of solution, but Square in that sense is really more complete. It's broader, it's deeper, okay? And but Square is a little more expensive than Braintree. But hey, listen, this is at least you have the added flexibility of having either an online commerce or a brick and mortar commerce operation. So this is kind of cool. So Square versus Braintree, in our view, Square wins the game here. Let's compare and contrast the Braintree versus another competitor here. So Dharma. So Dharma is another player in this field and has been doing it for a while now. So let's first talk about the pricing here. So with Dharma, you have pricing. You have interchange plus 0.15% plus 8 cents for in-person transactions. And you have interchange plus 0.20% plus 11 cents for online transactions. You have interchange plus 0.25% plus 8 cents for in-person Amex transactions. You have an interchange plus, you have a 0.30% plus 11 cents for online Amex transactions. Okay. So when you think about Dharma overall, and I really want you to understand, Dharma is kind of cool. You can see the prices are way lower. So Dharma is way cheaper than Braintree or even Square in that sense. But the infrastructure, the software and the hardware for Dharma those two are not as impressive as what you would have with Square, for instance. Okay. So overall, when you think about Dharma Merchant Services is actually another top option for e-commerce businesses with transparent rates and low transaction fees for online payments. And so Dharma uses an interchange plus pricing model and offers reduced rates for businesses processing over $100,000 per month. So again, you can see the thresholds here. It's pretty high, $100,000. For Braintree, you have anything between 80 grand and 100 grand. But for Dharma, you have 100 grand. And so when you actually go with Dharma, you actually can expect benefits such as compatibility with a variety of point of sale systems. So this is kind of cool. Clover, for instance, or Shopify or QuickBooks for that matter. There are no PCI compliance fees. This is really cool to sort of mention, especially if you are looking, if you're really looking at, you're scrutinizing all your fees. And so no PCI compliance fees. You'll love that a lot. And also there are no minimum transaction fees. So this is kind of cool because the Dharma is actually giving all kinds of merchants the ability to process payments. See, when you don't have no minimum transaction fees, at least then you do not have, you're not going to be penalized if you have like a small volume or a large volume. Basically, you have operational flexibility there. So we really love that a lot. So when you think about Dharma versus Braintree payments here, Braintree, it's a tie. So you can go either way because both cater to the e-commerce space. This is kind of cool. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Let's do a quick recap here. Into this conversation, I'll give you a Braintree payments review. So I give you an overview, the features, the pricing, the pros and cons, the rivals. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.